Hey y'all, thanks so much for tuning into my video blog. I appreciate it. So today's video, I want to talk about a specific verse in scripture that I was really inspired and intrigued by in my reading today. So I'm currently reading in Exodus, which if you've ever seen The Prince of Egypt, which is the Disney animated movie, or if you've ever seen The Ten Commandments, which is kind of an Easter classic, in those movies it's the story of Moses, where Moses is telling Pharaoh, hey, you need to let my people go because we've been in slavery for so long and we need to go worship the Lord. And Pharaoh just keeps saying, no, 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 you can't go. You need to work harder, and their bondage gets heavier. And I find it interesting that Pharaoh keeps letting Moses and Aaron come and talk to them because his heart just keeps getting harder, but he still allows them into his presence, which is interesting because you'd think it'd be the opposite, where he just wouldn't even want to hear what they have to say. That's how it winds up being, but that's a different story and a different video probably. But this video, I specifically want to talk about a verse from Exodus chapter 10. Now, in Exodus chapter 10, it's talking about some of the different plagues that happen because Moses refuses to let the Israelites go to leave Egypt. So the verse I was really intrigued by was Exodus chapter 10 verse 23, which reads, during all that time the people could not see each other and no one moved, but there was light as usual where the people of Israel lived. Now this is during the plague of darkness that the Lord promises for 3 whole days. And I find it interesting, that verse, because where the people of God were, there was light. And everywhere else it was so dark that no one was able to move. Now I can't even imagine it being that dark because we can still kind of sort of see at night, which is interesting too, but that's again different thing. So I find it interesting because God specifically pointed out his people and said, these are my people. With some of these plagues you're going to see that they are set apart. And I think that's really encouraging, because when we follow the Lord and pursue him and, get in his word every day and start learning more about who he is, who he says he is in his word, and through teachings and everything, it's just we start to be set apart. We start to live our lives differently. We don't do the things that we used to do because the old has died and the Lord has renewed our mind, like it says in Romans. So I was really encouraged by that verse because it just shows that God is so cool to set his people apart from the rest of the world, to show that we are his, we are separate, we are called to be holy like he is. So I hope that you're encouraged by that verse like I was. I'm just crazy encouraged by it, just to keep pursuing the Lord, to keep being set apart like he calls us to be, and like it tells us that we are when we're pursuing him, because we are his people. So I hope that verse encourages you. I hope that it encourages you to pursue the Lord if you haven't before, or if maybe it's been a little while, because I've been in that place too. But he's waiting for you with open arms. Look up the parable of the prodigal son. It's in Luke. I don't remember the exact chapter, but it's one of my favorite parables that Jesus tells, because it's the perfect picture of how God is with us when we've been wandering for so long. So I hope that you're encouraged by the verse. I hope you'll look a little bit more into it. And I hope that you'll pursue the Lord, whether you've been doing it for as long as you can remember or you've never done it before. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day, y'all.